Hi everyone, my name is Nicole and welcome to boho-style Macrame. In today's tutorial, we will be going over a DIY Macrame Fringe handbag. So before we get started on today's tutorial, make sure if you guys haven't already, click subscribe to boho-style Macrame's YouTube channel for more DIY macrame patterns, tips and tricks, and knotting patterns and techniques. So one thing you guys may not know about me is my all-time favorite macrame project to make are macrame handbags. I would say I'm very into bohemian fashion, so having the ability to make macrame handbags to carry around is something I really enjoy doing. And so in today's tutorial, we will be learning how to make this Macrame Fringe handbag. This is a beginner-friendly pattern using 3 of the basic knots of macrame, the Lark knot, square knot, and of course the double half hitch knot. What I find unique about this pattern is how we ended it with no fringe. So we added fringe along the design here, but then we didn't end the bottom with fringe, we left it fringeless. As you can see, there's a row of what we call square knots right there. And that is because we made the square knots inside out to seal the bag. I'm just gonna flip this over. So this is what the bag looks like inside out. So if you guys are interested in making a bag with no fringe at the ends, make sure you watch the video all the way through to the end to see how that is done. If you guys are beginners, we do have a macrame wall hanging kit that is perfect for you guys. It comes with everything you need to get started with your very first or second project. If you guys are interested, check out the link in the video description below. Or if you guys are looking to improve your macrame skill set faster, then you guys may be interested in checking out our Patreon community, which comes with a lot more beginner resources for beginners in macrame. If you guys are interested, I'll also post that link in the video description below. And with that, let's begin. Before we begin, you will need some materials and supplies for this pattern. I've used 4mm cotton cord and 2 4.3-inch bag handles. So the cord I will be using is a 4mm single strand cotton cord from our foundation cord line. This is a super soft and sturdy cord, making it perfect for beginners since it doesn't unravel easily. And then here are 2 4.3-inch metal bag handles. So bag handle rings are a little bit thicker and sturdier than normal rings that you would use for dream catchers and plant hangers. I do have these available on my shop. If you guys are interested, check out the link in the video description below. To start the pattern, we're going to work on one side of the bag first. So starting with one bag handle, we're going to take one strand of cord at 170 centimeters long, fold it in half, and we're going to make a reverse Lark's head knot onto the bag handle. Then you're going to repeat this 7 more times on the bottom of this ring. So there should be a total of 8 reverse Lark's head knots side by side. Once the 8 cords are attached onto the bottom of this ring, we're going to start with the far left 4 cords and make a square knot. Then we're going to make 3 more consecutive square knots to the right, 4 cords at a time. Then starting underneath the left 2 square knots, take 2 cords from underneath each square knot and make an alternating square knot. Then continue with the next 4 cords to the right for another alternating square knot, and then make 1 more to the right after that. We're now going to make a series of individual square knots to add on to the width of this bag pattern. So you're going to need to take 2 cords at 170 centimeters long, folded in half side by side with the loop ends. Then taking the far left and far right cords, we're going to make a half knot, treating this like 4 vertical cords to make the square knot. Once you have made the half knot, we're just going to pull on the working cords a little bit more to shrink the loops at the top. Then finish off with an opposite half knot to finish the square knot. Pull on the cords to tighten, and then pull on the anchor cords underneath. And now you have your first individual square knot. Taking the square knot to the left of the bag handle, we're going to take the right 2 cords from that square knot and then the left 2 cords from the pattern and make a square knot underneath. This is how we're going to attach all these individual square knot patterns to the sides of this bag pattern. I will show you one more time how to make this individual square knot and add it to the right side of the pattern, and then you can go ahead and make 3 more additional square knots on both sides after. Now attach 3 more individual square knots on the left side and on the right side. Once you have attached 3 on both sides, this is what the pattern should look like. There should be a row of those individual square knots at the top, and then the alternating square knot at the bottom to attach that top square knot to the side of the pattern. The pattern we're going to make now is a V-shaped alternating square knot pattern. Starting underneath the far left 2 square knots, make an alternating square knot, and then continue to the right, stopping underneath the right 2 square knots. Then continue the same pattern underneath so that the sides are diagonal, facing towards the center of the pattern. Finish this alternating square knot row to the right. Then, like I said before, underneath, make another row of alternating square knots, starting underneath the far left 2 cords. Continue this pattern downwards until you have 1 square knot for your last row. Once you're complete with this V-shaped square knot pattern, we're going to take our second ring and repeat the exact same pattern up until this point. Once both sides of the pattern are complete, up until the V-shaped alternating square knot rows, we're now going to attach both sides together to start forming the bag. So placing the sides together, we're going to connect them with 1 alternating square knot. Then make 2 more alternating square knots underneath. Repeat the same thing to attach the other side together. Once both sides of the bag are attached together, we're now going to work on one side of the bag first. What we're going to do here is similar to what we have been making above, but instead of making a tight square knot row, we're going to leave about 1 centimeter of space from that last row of alternating square knots made above. So here you can see I have left 1 centimeter of space to finish off this square knot underneath the side of the bag pattern. The side of the bag pattern consists of 2 columns of square knots. Then taking the next 4 cords to the right beside the square knot we just made, repeat the same thing with a square knot 1 centimeter below. We're going to continue leaving 1 centimeter of space with this diagonal alternating square knot row that we're going to make on the sides of this pattern. And the purpose of this 1 centimeter of space is so that we can add additional cords to this part of the pattern at the very end with raya knots. So we'll come back to this spacing that we are leaving here at the very end of the pattern. Now that you have your side-by-side square knots made on the side of the bag, we're now going to work on the front side of the bag, and we're going to take the right 2 cords underneath the square knot we made, and then the next 2 cords to the right for an alternating square knot. Continue to leave 1 centimeter of space in between the square knot and the square knot row above. Repeat for another diagonal alternating square knot underneath. Continue this pattern until you've reached the last square knot at the bottom. Once the left side is complete, we're now going to work on the right side of the pattern, mimicking what we just did on the left side. So starting from the center of the side of the pattern, which are the two center square knot columns on the right side, and we're going to make a square knot underneath with the middle 4 cords, leaving 1 centimeter of space from the row above. Then take the next 4 cords to the left and make another square knot, leaving 1 centimeter of space. Now we're going to start our row of diagonal alternating square knots, and using the left 2 cords from the square knot we just made, and then the 2 cords adjacent to it on the left, make a square knot. Continue this pattern diagonally to the left until you've reached the bottom square knot. This is what the pattern should look like once both the left and right sides are complete. Finish off the bottom with 1 more square knot in the middle, with the middle 4 cords. Now what you're going to do is repeat the exact same pattern on the back side of the bag. What we're going to do now is add another row of square knots starting from the sides of the pattern till the very bottom of the front and back sides. The square knot rows from now on will have no spaces between them. So starting on one side of the pattern, we're going to make a square knot in the center of the side and then continue diagonally towards the front of the pattern. Once the left side is complete, we're going to do the same thing on the right side, starting from the side of the pattern for a square knot and then working diagonally towards the front of the pattern. And as you can see, we finished off the middle of this front side with a square knot underneath as well. Repeat the same pattern on the back side to complete the row on both sides. Now repeat this pattern 2 more times on both sides. There should be a total of 4 rows underneath the gap. So once the 4 rows are complete, what we're going to do now is start knotting from the sides to fill up the square knot pattern so that it is even with that bottom square knot. So we're not going to keep adding square knots to the center of the pattern anymore. We're going to add square knots on both sides of the pattern, stopping at that last row at the front and the back. So starting at the side of the pattern, make a square knot and then continue diagonally to the front, stopping at that bottom row of square knots in the front. This is what the left side should look like once complete. It's the same level as the bottom square knot, and then we're going to do the same thing on the right side. Once the right side is complete, now you can see there are 3 square knots at the bottom row. Repeat this at the back and then repeat over and over until the sides are all filled up with square knots up until the last row. And this is what the pattern should look like once the square knots are filled up. Now we're going to turn the bag inside out to seal the bottom of the bag. As I had mentioned previously, the side of the pattern consists of 2 square knot columns, so find where that part is and follow those 2 columns all the way to the bottom. We're going to take the middle square knot 4 cords, and we're going to take 2 cords from the left and 2 cords from the right for those 8 cords from the 2 square knot columns that started from the top. Hold on to these 8 cords as they're going to be used as anchor cords for the large square knots we're going to make at the bottom. I'm just going to quickly tie an overhand knot to hold those 8 cords, and then I'm going to find the 8 cords on the other side. Once you have found the 8 cords on the other side, we're going to remove all the other cords, and we're going to place these 8 cords across to the other side of the bag. Untie the overhand knot that we have made on the other side and do the same thing. Fold the cords over to the other side of the bag as well so that they overlap. I'm going to take a scrap piece of cord and just make an overhand knot to hold the cords in the middle. We're going to take that overhand knot off later, but it's just to hold the cords loosely for now. Then on one side of the pattern, we're going to start making the large square knots. Taking the next 2 cords on both sides, we're going to use those as working cords for a square knot with the cords in the middle, so the bottom of the bag, as anchor cords. Fold the left cord over to the right, then take the right cord over and through the loop to the left, and we have just made 1/2 knot. Then finish off this square knot with the opposite half knot. Shift the square knot down as far as possible to the side, and you're going to want to keep doing this as you make the square knots down. And now repeat this square knot again with the next 2 cords down on both sides. Continue these square knots downwards on this side for a few more times, and then we're going to start working on the other side. So here I have 4 square knots on the one side, and then I'm going to flip the bag over to the other side and start the square knots there. So we're going to do exactly the same thing, but an opposite side square knot. So taking the 2 cords from both sides, we're going to take the right cord over to the left and then the left cord over and through the loop on the right for 1/2 knot, then finish with an opposite half knot to finish this square knot. And then you should see that once the square knot is made, it is aligned with the square knot from the other side. Continue downwards once more with the next 2 cords on both sides. Continue this pattern on both sides until you've reached the center of the pattern with 2 square knots left. This is what the pattern should look like with just 2 more square knots left in the middle. I've already taken off the overhand knot that we used to hold the anchor cords in the middle. And now we're just going to finish off with 2 more square knots. It is getting a little tight here, but it is the same concept. As long as you can weave the cords through, then you can make 2 more square knots here. To make extra space there, shift the other square knots to the side. Now we're going to take a 45cm long cord, and on the front and back sides of the fringe pattern, we're going to make double half hitch knots onto this anchor cord. So no need to attach the side cords from the anchor cords underneath the square knots, we're just going to attach all of the front and back facing cords onto an anchor cord. To make the first double half hitch knot, you're going to have to hold the anchor cord in place, and then once you've made the first double half hitch knot, the anchor cord will be held in place, and then it will be a lot easier to make the remaining double half hitch knots. So continue to the right until all of the front facing fringe is attached onto this anchor cord using double half hitch knots. Once that is complete, do the same thing on the other side. Once the other side is complete, we're going to take the anchor cords on both sides and make a double half hitch knot with the two anchor cords. Pull on those two anchor cords tightly to seal them together. Now cut off all of the excess cord at the bottom, leaving a little bit of space, but you can cut off the majority of the excess fringe on both sides of the bag pattern. And now the bottom of the bag pattern is complete, and now we can fold the bag back inside out. Now we're going to go back to the gap that we had made on the front and back sides of the pattern and attach scrap fringe to the gaps. From the trimmings that we had at the bottom of the bag, if you have any that are 12 centimeter to 15 centimeter in length, we're going to save and use those to add fringe onto the bag. If you have leftover scraps from another project, you can use those for this part of the pattern too. Taking two of these scrap cords, we're going to attach it onto the bottom middle loop using a raya knot. So taking both cord ends, we're going to weave them through the hole to the right from front to back, and then take the end back to the front in the middle hole. Then do the same thing with the left ends by weaving them front to back on the left loop, and then weave them back through the front in the middle loop. Take two more cords and repeat the same thing right next to this middle fringe. So on the left side of the fringe pattern we just attached, we're going to weave the cord ends through that same loop and then pull them through the loop beside it on the left. Then take the other cord ends through the left loop and then pull the ends through the hole to the right. Continue this pattern along all of the gaps until you've reached the sides, the back sides, and then all the way back to the front. This is what one side of the bag should look like once you have the wire knots attached. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. Once both sides are complete, you can now trim the fringe to your desired length. Once that is done, the pattern is now complete. And that's a wrap with the macrame handbag tutorial. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. I also release macrame tutorials on IGTV, so if you guys are interested, check out the link in the video description below to head on over to my Instagram at bochinon. Make sure if you guys did enjoy this video to give it a big thumbs up and click subscribe if you guys haven't already. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.